so much for joining us today. I'm Rita Wolfson, and our topic for this month's monthly free webinar is Financial Struggles Contribute to Social Worker Burnout. So I'm confident that you will leave with a lot more understanding and tools to make your work better. With us today is Linda Benjamin. She'll be, reading some things from your responses and any Q&A that we get to. And our wonderful all things tech person is Olga Potanin. And she's been with us for years, and she is just the greatest. And I'm sure that you know that the most important person here today is our guest speaker. You can see she is quite skilled and knowledgeable, and you will learn a great deal from her today. She will tell you more about herself when I turn over the presentation to her very shortly. All of us want to welcome all of you because we know that when you take your time to attend a webinar, when we are all so very, very, very busy, we want to be sure that you get a lot from the training personally to address your own relationship with money, which is a very key part of financial social work, and professionally, that you have new tools to add to your client toolbox. And this training absolutely meets those qualifications. You can check the chat box for messages. Remember, the slides aren't shared, they are proprietary. You will receive the recording, and it will also be on our website, Facebook page, and YouTube channel within a day or so. You can type your questions into the question box as we go through the training, and we will answer as many as possible. And there are no CEs or certificates of attendance for this webinar, just some wonderful learning tools and skills. I like to begin our webinars with the financial social work affirmation that I wrote a few years ago because I really do believe that it captures the essence of what my work is about. It goes, just for today, I love myself enough to face my fears, practice self-acceptance, and embrace hope. Silence my inner critic, speak my truth, and make peace with myself and with my past. Just for today, I will give myself permission to eliminate toxic people, beliefs, and behaviors from my life while I prepare for a better tomorrow by healing my relationship with my money and with myself today. Well, this won't be news to anyone that we are all coping with just a tremendous amount of financial uncertainty. And I thought that it would be interesting to take a few moments and have you share your answers in the question box with us. If you could give your client one thing, one way to improve his or her financial health and wellness, what would that be? Go ahead and type your answers in the question box, and Linda will share those answers with us. What would one thing? It's not a simple question, though it may sound like it. There's so, go ahead.
No, come on, everybody, give me some answers. Where are your magic wands?
Be brave. Be brave. What is it that you would like to do for your clients?
I don't have anything.
Well, we are so used to people sharing answers with us.
In the question box, Linda, we start having it. Budget to calm negative thoughts, debt-free. Linda, can you see?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I have a chat box, but not a question box.
You don't have a question about, oh, okay. I guess that's the problem. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Olga, can you do it? Are there more?
I will do Linda organizer, so she will see it. Linda, now you can see question box, I guess. Keep financial goals happening.
The confidence to know that it is possible to obtain financial health and wellness. Financial peace of mind. The confidence to know that it is possible to obtain financial health and wellness. The free federal credit report website.
These are wonderful.
An incentive to begin doing the right thing. And
I want to talk to everybody who's writing those. I want to know what that incentive might be. I think maybe we need to schedule something where we can just all come together and talk about this more. Although we do that with our health and our professional community. These are wonderful.
how about this one? This is a good one. Honesty about financial situation. I like that one. That's hard.
It is hard, and it's very important. I only started doing these questions last month and was just so excited by the answers. They raised important ideas for us to think about professionally. But if you were with us a few minutes ago, I see people are still joining us. When I talked about the fact that it's important to us that these monthly free webinars are topics that are of interest to all of our attendees, personally as well as professionally. So you might want to also be considering what would you give to yourself to help you grow your own personal financial health and wellness. Okay. Anything we have to hear, Linda, before we move on as the clock ticks away?
No, they were all wonderful, but I think hope and a plan. I like that one. And learn how to budget what their needs and wants are. So all very good.
Wonderful. Thanks, everybody. Okay, we know that no one chooses to have money problems, but sadly, most people do. In some of our free webinars and our professional community meetups and that, we talk about the reasons. There are so many, but the simplest is to just explain to you the role we see financial social work playing in the lives of the work we do with clients. So financial social work is the intersection of politics, the economy, social work, economic, gender, and social justice. There are so many populations with different needs, so many reasons why they have those needs. And as a behavioral model, we try to help our graduates have the tools and the skills to address the needs of so many different client populations. So financial social work explores financial health fundamentals. It is heavily psychosocial. We look at the thoughts, feelings, attitudes, beliefs, values, and experiences that drive financial behavior, because until and unless behavior changes, nothing changes. And financial behavior is how we earn, spend, save, share, and borrow. And Sharon will be talking a little about that too. So, at the heart of financial social work, it is about healing the relationship we each have with money and the relationship we each have with ourselves. That really is at the core of the work. It's about self-discovery, self-care, self-healing, and certainly about recognizing and taking ownership of your financial health and future. It is an interactive, reflective, strengths-based model. It's holistic, multidisciplinary, and healing. Hopeful, helpful, works with individuals and with groups. And we have thousands of graduates across the country and around the world. And I believe that that's because it is a behavioral model. So that while the finances, the dollars and cents, the money part is different in all of these countries, it's really that behavioral piece that people want. And now it gives me great pleasure, very great pleasure, to introduce you to Sharon Lawrence, our guest speaker. I am going to hopefully, there we go, turn it over to you, Sharon, and please, please tell everyone about yourself and share with them your beautiful presentation.
Hello, hello. Thank you, Rita, so much for this opportunity to come back and to speak to all of the attendees. And I know there are more who are going to be signing in, but it's always a pleasure to just come and share information that we want to be empowering. So, so for today, I'm going to be focusing on the financial struggles that contribute to social work burnout. And I'll share just a little bit more about me. As you see, I am a licensed clinical social worker, a certified financial social worker. I have a private practice that is based out of Maryland and Florida with a team of amazing clinicians where we provide therapy to other therapists, professionals, and couples. Because I have a team, we're able to serve clients not just in Maryland and Florida, but in DC and Virginia. I'm also the CEO of SJL Professional Services, where all of my training and coaching and teaching falls under, and I'm super excited about that. And I just love what I do. There's so many other things. I'm an adjunct professor. I have a lot of students who are going into the field of social work, and I think a few of them may have joined us today, so welcome as well. You are among some great people, and I hope that everyone takes away some great information. If you want to learn more about me, please just head over to SharonJLawrence.com, and you can read my bio there. All right, so let's jump right into it. Our agenda is going to focus on 5 areas. We're going to be able to assess and understand the readiness for change utilizing the Transtheoretical Model of Change. We're going to recognize the role of money in our lives and our clients' lives, because we know that's a big one. A lot of times we do so much work for our clients, but a lot of this presentation is going to be honing in on how we deal with ourselves, how to identify and address spending triggers, the purpose of creating a money mission statement, and how to reduce self-sabotaging money interactions utilizing SMART goals. So I hope you're ready. We're going to be moving pretty fast because I know it's a lot of information, but it's all pertinent information. And so I hope you're going to be writing down different ideas, write down your questions. Make sure that you have an opportunity to engage with myself and Rita at the end of this presentation, because we want to make sure that this information is sticking and that it will, you know, help you to move towards change and heal you from some of those behaviors that you've had in the past, you know, that may have been traumatic, but there is long lasting, right? I want to give a quick definition what social work is, right? Many definitions. I'm not going to pull out any textbooks, but when I saw this one, I thought it was something that was fitting for this presentation. Social work is a practice-based profession that focuses on helping to empower individuals, families, and communities through varied organizations, serving different populations, and providing services. All types of interventions are used to create social change, including the use of financial social work, right? And so this is something that we need to understand. We are constantly moving and doing work in this field as we help those who we serve, whether it's on a micro, meso, or macro level. We are constantly moving to support and empower people. I have a quick poll question for you, so let me go and gonna put this out for you. Should be popping up now. Take a few seconds to answer this question. Is a financial relationship the same as a financial circumstance? Okay. Yes, we have no, we have some unsures. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. I would like to see everyone vote, so please. We're about halfway there. I can see that percentage just going up gradually. Go ahead, press that button. Press it, press it, press it. Almost there. It's moving up. We're not even at 70% yet. Gonna give it about a minute. All right, keep going. Don't get stuck on me. Come on. A few more.
You're so funny.
Few more. A few more. Come on, bring them on in. Pull it in, like they say, pull it in. All right. All right. I'm gonna close it in about 20 seconds. If you can, go ahead, keep voting. 15, 14, 13, 12. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm going to go ahead and close the poll. When stuff like that happens, Rita, I go, you know what? They're probably multitasking, but they're listening, and that's the most important thing. So 77% of you voted. And technically, the answer to this is no, they're not the same thing. Let me share these results. How do I share? What did I miss? Thank you. Okay. I'm like, what am I missing? Okay. So technically, no, they are two different things. And we're going to talk about the role of relationships that people have with money. Like, what is your relationship with money like? What do you think about money? How does it impact you? In a financial circumstance, that is the thing that comes up for you regarding your financial situation. Excuse me, tongue-tied, trying to get all this information out. Bear with me. And so there is a difference. However, they are impacted by each other, right? So for those who may have been uncertain, like, okay, well, maybe it is the same thing, I'm not too sure, they definitely can depend on one another. All right. And it says a lot when you have someone who runs away from those phone calls from, the bill collectors, or they're just uncertain about what to do. Or you may have someone who says, I don't even care about the money situation or the budget. I'm just going to do what I want to do, not looking at the implications or the consequences of their choices. So we're going to talk about burnout today and the stressors and how we can actually change our thinking and change our behavior. All right, so just a few tips that I'm going to give, and make it simplified for you so it doesn't feel so overwhelming. The last thing I want to do is to have you feeling even more overwhelmed because of the responsibility of change. Okay, so thank you for that, everyone. Thank you. All right. There was a workforce study completed in 2008. That's a long time ago. But this statement that I read when I was researching, it says, I believe that unmanageable debt, poor preparation, and training for job negotiations and low salaries in the social work profession make the social work profession untenable, right? When I read this, I felt this was so true for so many people. Now, granted, we have individuals have been extremely creative, especially in the midst of COVID and the global pandemic, where they started their own businesses, whether it was coaching or consulting, and they started doing new things. However, it did not take away the fact that there are still people who are not making enough for the work that they do. And there are individuals out there who are struggling daily as they are still helping other people. And I hate to say it this way, but it's as if they're also giving from an empty cup. They're doing the best that they can, but they're struggling financially, which impacts other areas of their lives, leading to burnout. So there are a lot of presentations that I've done, and one in particular that I focus on a lot is a presentation that I do every year called Balance Boldly. And I focus on 7 principles. But for the purpose of today's presentation, I'm going to focus on the first 4: recognition, responsibility, reconciliation, and rectify. When you're talking about self-reflection, it's not something that you can do extremely fast. It takes time, it takes intentionality. And so during your moments of self-reflection, when you think about money management skills, either for yourself or for your clients, I want you to consider recognition. You have to be in a position where you understand and recognize the existence of any money issues, any financial struggles that you're having. What you don't acknowledge, you can't address. You have to be willing to sit down and take a clear look at what is actually on your plate when it comes to your finances and how it's impacting you in other areas of your life, emotionally, physically, spiritually. Responsibility, that speaks to you taking the steps to say, I am responsible for self, especially as social workers. We have an obligation to ourselves, not just to the profession and the organization and the client, but if you are not well, and if you are moving in a place where you are impaired, you cannot fully say that you're showing up, giving it your all, because you're not taking care of you. You come first so that you can be fully effective and efficient in all that you do. Reconciliation. How do you bring the pieces together? And you say, okay, let me make sure this is matching this. Let me understand what's happening over here. Let me understand how things may need to shift. I have to reconcile all of this stuff, come to grips with what I have on my plate, and then rectify. How do you correct it? What are the actual steps that you're going to take to remedy this problem? All right, so that's what we're going to focus on. When it comes to the average debt of social workers, over 80% of social workers with bachelor's and master's, and over 65% of those with doctorates have an average of $31,000 to $42,000 in debt. For all other disciplines, the average is $29,000. Yet we are the helping profession. We're on the front line. We do it all, right? But look at the amount of debt. That's just the average. I'm not even giving you the low end and the high end. That is simply the average, right? That's a lot. And for someone who says, well, my school loans or this debt that I have is in this amount, it's in 6 figures, that may be the case, but how you manage your affairs versus someone else with another level of debt, doesn't mean that you both can't be struggling, depending on your expenses, depending on your responsibilities. And we're not just talking about loans, we're talking about credit card debt, right? We're talking about maybe money that you borrowed from someone, right? So keep that in mind. Debt can come in many, many forms. So where do we stand at this point? Let's talk a little bit about financial capability. Financial capability is saying we are capable of not just learning about how to help people with, financial issues, but also how do we actually practice it, right? Having the tools and the skills and the information to actually follow through to say, I'm going to teach someone or learn myself how to actually work through a budget. I'm going to understand how to talk about the actual relationships with money. When did you first learn about money? Was it through a parent, a grandparent, a caregiver? Was it something that was talked about growing up? Was it something that was never talked about growing up, right? Financial capability says we're now in a position where we're learning. We're capable of actually following through on these techniques, okay? And this is something, everyone, if you're not aware, maybe it wasn't something that was taught in your MSW program or whatever your discipline is if you're not a social worker, but more so now there are more schools teaching about financial social work and the importance of making sure that we understand how to help our clients more than just providing them with a quick resource to social services or to, an accountant or something, okay, or some type of app. In this case, we're able to actually break down these things and help them understand their relationships with money and how to make true change and to prepare their mindset for a better life. We also need to understand the expenses versus annual income. Are we living within our means or are we living beyond our means? Keep that in mind. Right now, people are pursuing economic well-being, right? They want to do better. They want to try something different. They don't like where they are, and a lot of individuals don't know where to start, especially in some cases, young adults who are afraid of walking into adulthood, right? But we have some very, 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 very grown people who we know who are very mature. However, when it comes to finances, they're very green and they don't know where to start, but they know they want to do better. And last but not least, we have to look at the fact that there is this existence of burnout. All right, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that when I get to slide 14, but it exists and it's impacting people. When we talk about finances, please understand how serious this is. 59% of Americans are just one paycheck away from homelessness. That is scary. That is very, very scary. And so please keep in mind that whatever you choose to do, we're not just talking about rectifying the current financial situations. We're talking about how you actually start to create what we call future templates in terms of what it is that you want to see moving forward. And you can reduce the burnout, you can reduce the struggles that you are experiencing. When we talk about the role of money for clients and social workers, these are things that you need to understand the role of money that it plays, right? Living expenses, how you pay for stuff, your food, your housing, your health care, recreation, emergencies, outstanding recurring debt. If you can, put in the chat for me if there's any other roles that you can think of that money plays in a person's life. What are some other things that come up? What other roles does money play in one's life? And I'll go back to give you some examples to help you think a little bit. Okay. Child care, elder care. Yep. Friends, dating. Yes. Yes. Retirement security. Yep. Thank you. Medical expenses, yeah. Healthcare, self-care, yes. Yeah, yeah. Thank you, thank you. Choices. I wish I could have a conversation with the person that said that. Yes. Unstable environments, yes. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. More money is more options, absolutely. Yep, therapy, yoga, mental health, yep, and different ones. Thank you so much, everyone. That was important. Vacation, yes. So I'm getting some feedback from someone. Not sure. You can mute yourselves. Okay. All right. So now let's talk about that relationship with money. And I'm not going to ask you to respond to this, but I do want you to think about, is your relationship with money healthy or unhealthy? Think about your clients. Is it healthy or unhealthy? Right? Meaning, you wake up in the morning, are you at peace with your decisions, with your choices, as someone said? Or is it unhealthy, where every day you're worrying about, is this the paycheck that I'm able to pay this, or am I going to still be struggling? And praying that nothing else comes up, right? That will make plans for your money, because you already had plans for your money. But you know how that goes. Something always wants to come up, and now what you had planned is no longer a plan. And that creates more stress. We also have to talk about the relationship with money. Do you have one? Is it even existent? Right? These are things I really want you to just consider right now. When it also comes to money relationships, you must put in time, effort, and engagement. It is not something that's just going to remedy itself because you make more money. You have to be very intentional about the time, effort, and engagement. We're going to talk about budgets a little bit more later, but you have to be able to put a budget in place. You want to be able to maybe possibly speak with a financial social worker or a financial coach or financial counselor, someone who can sit with you and talk about how to actually do things differently. Being able to do a self-evaluation about where you are. It's pretty lengthy. So it will ask you difficult questions and force you to actually really assess what's happening with you and your relationship with money and where the changes need to take place. This is where you're going to be challenged, right? In your engagement, you're going to be challenged to be vulnerable and open, and it's going to be uncomfortable, but in the end, you will thank yourself for it, and your future self will thank you for it. All right. The impact of your relationship, that's going to be the driving force for how you correct the current situations, your current situations, as well as your future. Again, time, effort, and engagement is necessary, but also you have to be mindful that you're going to end up, you have to be willing to be vulnerable. Okay. Understand this. Financial instability is not just for low income populations. Again, we know individuals with six figures and they are struggling. Okay. This can be anyone. As you walk into your professional role, it is about providing knowledge, skills, and access to opportunities for financial stability, right? This means that you have access to tons of information. But this is information that is really not helpful if there isn't behavior change, right? It's about true change emotionally and mentally in order, and behavior change so that you can actually start to see financial stability in your life. And if you notice, I have that ethical obligation in red because I'm speaking to the professionals right now. You also have an ethical obligation to yourself, as I said earlier. Right? You're helping everybody win, but you may not have the emotional strength for you. This is the opportunity to pay attention to what's happening before you completely burn out. All right? You must position yourself to remove the barriers. But the only way to do that, again, is you must be vulnerable and you must be willing to identify the things that are challenges, even if you are possibly self-sabotaging. And we're going to talk about that as well. Let's jump over to this. Burnout. When I think about burnout, people just, they use burnout very, 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 very loosely. I'm burned out. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. But what they don't realize is that burnout actually is something that has 5 stages to it. All right. I didn't want to jump around too much with the screens because I didn't want to confuse anyone, but I'll talk through it so that you can understand it. So let me go back here. So with burnout, you have the honeymoon phase, right? That you're pretty happy, right? Things are good, get tired here and there, but you still have the energy that you need. But then there is this onset of stress, the things that you can't always control. In some situations, we know that there are dilemmas that may come up in the workplace that do pull on you a lot more than you anticipated. And even though you're excited about the job, you start to question. You're not as optimistic. You're not as excited about it. And the reality is that stress starts to kick in and you start to wonder, okay, what's happening? Now, if that's not dealt with, you now move over to phase 3, which is chronic stress. Now you're talking about calling out. Maybe a day here, a day there, it really depends. But stage 4 and 5, that's where you say burnout, habitual burnout. Now you're talking about days, possibly months. I'll share this with you and I'll say it really fast so I can get through this content. But I'll never forget in my second year, right out of grad school, I was extremely stressed by a supervisor that I was calling out every Monday for like 3 months, but I didn't realize that I was calling out every Monday. I was triggered every Sunday, high anxiety, exhausted, drained from being in the streets with the police officers, trying to find my runaway therapy of foster kids. My caseload wasn't that high, but we were busy. And my supervisor said to me, "You call out every Monday." I said, "No, I don't." And she showed me the slips. And you all, I thought I was going to pass out because I said, this can't be me. But it was me. And I realized that I had to do something different because I was very stressed. I was also dealing with the stress of finances. In that same year, I also filed for bankruptcy because things just seemed like they were just coming at me left and right. But believe it or not, I did not recognize it until she said it. And I had to reflect on my own behaviors, right? I was having what you see as financial stress. For some people, it's financial toxicity, right? It's just coming at you left and right, not making good choices. I was able to come out of that situation, but it taught me a lot about my relationship with money. You must understand the role of money, understand its functions, how it exists in your life. What is your money story? If you were to say how you learned about money, what would be your money story, your relationship, how it shows up for you? Okay? With that being said, you must know your triggers. Here are just a few examples of it. You have to acknowledge what causes you to spend. All right? Is it upcoming events? Is it your emotions take over and you have to do retail therapy? Like, I know some of you love that, right? But is retail therapy coming from that account that's ready for that? Or is it coming from that account that's tied to your bills and your rent or your mortgage, right? Or are you spending money because you're stressed from people at work or just people in general, friends, relationships, marriage, children, okay? Here are a few ways that you need to address triggers. Keep in mind, nothing changes if nothing changes. If you don't do anything with the information you receive today, nothing can change. If you don't do anything with any information you learn related to roles and relationships with money and financial social work tools, nothing will change. You must be willing to evaluate and track what you have going on. I mentioned the self-evaluation. Make sure you implement that. Also create a tracking system. You want to be able to determine how well you're doing, okay? Also journal about your strengths, where your focus needs to be, but also highlight what those self-sabotaging tendencies are. Because if you can purge and get that stuff out of your brain and you can see it on paper, most likely you can connect with it better and recognize it when it shows up. Okay? Increase your self-awareness. Increase your financial awareness, right? Keep learning about this information. Be willing to tap into new resources, right? And then change your attitude. Define what is needed to reach success. Also, make sure that you take a moment to celebrate those small wins when you are doing well and you're evaluating your progress over time, right? Now we have the Transtheoretical Model of Behavioral Change that I want to go through really quickly. So these are the 6 stages, right? This really looks at your health behavior, how you move forward, right? But we're talking about your behavior with money, right? Stage 1, pre-contemplation, no intention of changing that behavior. You have the information, it is what it is. You kind of just said, I have nothing left to focus on. I'm just going to do what I can. Okay, you have no intention on changing. We can't fight you on that. We can't fault you for that. But stage 2 says contemplation. You're aware that it exists. Okay, so now you're acknowledging it, but no action just yet. But at least there's some level of acknowledgement. The goal is to push you to stage 3 and then 4 and then 5 and 6. Preparation. Now you're saying, okay, I'm in this training, in this workshop with Sharon, and I'm learning about some things that I need to be mindful of regarding my relationship with money. Okay, that's your intent upon taking action. And then active modification of behavior, that's action. Like, okay, I have my tools in front of me. I'm actually going to step out and get this done. I'm going to write down some things. I'm going to evaluate my actions and my behaviors and my triggers. I'm going to write down my future template. I'm going to create a budget. Maintenance says it's excellent for capturing audiences beyond a one-time event, meaning I'm going to keep this going. It's working. I'm seeing the progress. I can actually see the balance getting lower and lower and lower for my credit card statement. I just have to stay the course. But like we said, some stuff comes up, and for some individuals, there is relapse, and it's okay. Please don't beat yourself up. Please don't fault yourself if you fall back into an old pattern. What I need you to do is to get up and do it again. Start over. Get back to the place, as Marie Kondo says, you do those things, you find those things that bring you joy, right? Get back to that place that brought you some excitement because you started to see that progress, right? Don't stop, right? Identifying self-sabotaging behaviors is going to be one of the most difficult things you do because it's going to cause you to have to be honest with yourself. So I want you to think about 3 behaviors that hinder you. Identify 3 times self-sabotage kicked in, and you're all going to, receive this PowerPoint again so you'll be able to see it. As you write these things, I want you to also identify 3 ways to limit self-sabotage. First and foremost, I need you to also ask yourself, why do you self-sabotage? And what benefits do you get from self-sabotaging? Right? Something to consider. SMART goals. SMART stands for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. Gave you some quick examples on the bottom, but specific. Clarify what goal you're trying to reach for your finances, right? Be very, very specific. Don't be so broad that you can try and wiggle around it. Hold yourself accountable, right? Measurable. Determine how you will determine and measure your success with this specific goal. For example, if you're using only cash to go grocery shopping, after each trip, review the receipt, the budget, and the items purchased. Did you stick to it? Did you meet the goal? Remain realistic always with your goals. Ensure that whatever you choose, it is something that you can achieve, right? Make sure that you're always paying attention, that what you put in place, that's actually what is spent, right? Relevant. Ensure that the goal will yield the results. Sticking to this plan should increase cash flow and less financial strain on credit cards, right? And last but not least, establish a deadline and monitor your progress regularly, meaning looking at that budget. Are there things you need to tweak? We want you to be connected to what you put in place, but don't be so rigid that you don't allow wiggle room if there's something that needs to adjust. As people said earlier, when I said, what are the roles that money play? You listed some very serious things. If those things come up, do you have some wiggle room? Don't be so strict with yourself that it's going to cause you to throw the whole plan away. Okay, so be kind to yourself. All right. If you can, in the chat, if you don't mind, share with me quickly, what is one way to know if someone is ready to change their relationship with money? What is one way to know if someone is ready? It can be a word, it can be a quick sentence. Yeah, asking for help. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Attempt to stop their impulse buying. Yes. When they stop complaining. Yes. Great, great, great. The way they speak about money. That's a big one. Thank you. Yes. Right. And the fact that they're even talking about it, that's huge. Yes. Seeking professional assistance, seeking help. Yes. To no longer make excuses. Recognition. Right. Willingness to discuss, scheduling time to look at finances. Yes. Thank you all. This is amazing. Thank you. Yeah, I got it. Yes. All right. All right. So now we're going to move on to the personal mission statement. Right? Yes, doing a real budget. Yes, absolutely. Yes. Personal mission statements are a statement that speak to how you define yourself in your relationship with money, right? You ever look at people's websites and you see all these wonderful mission statements? You go, oh, that's so cool. I'll have one of those when I get a business. Well, no, I actually want you to create a personal financial mission statement for yourself. This is something that I'm going to challenge you to work on this weekend if you don't have one already. This is just two examples that I have here. And when you create them, I want you to actually put them someplace you can constantly see them. Make multiple copies. Maybe have one in your budget, maybe one in the bathroom, one inside the closet, wherever you want to stick it. One on the door, especially if you're the type of person that the first thing you do is grab your purse, grab your wallet, run out the door to go shopping. I need you to see that sign so it stops you and makes you go sit back down. That's the goal. And think about what you're about to do. All right. So example one, I pledge to ensure that my life is committed to giving attention to all areas, including the importance of my finances and my financial future. Example number two, I will always consider my finances in my decisions to ensure that I am continuously on the path of financial stability and growth. Oftentimes when I tell people to, go forward, encourage yourself, I also tell them to grow forward, meaning they're doing the work and they're evolving as they continuously move forward in time. All right. You have 4 adopted lifestyles that you can look at. All right. It either can be inactively, where you choose to ignore, reactively, you respond if there's a problem, actively managing from one payday to the next, and proactively fully engaged in planning for the future. I will hope that you're constantly in 2, 3, and 4 of those lifestyles. All right. Primarily the 4th one, but like I said, depending on what's happening, you may fluctuate between those, but I don't want you to ever ignore. Here is a quote that I want you to take with you. It says, all aspects of financial capability must be working simultaneously to achieve successes and advances, meaning all the information you receive, all of the tools, all of the workshops, all of the reading, what you bring from your past, even if it was not a positive experience with money, it does shape your thinking. And that's what helps you to move towards change, because you know what you don't want to do anymore. But you are very clear on where you're trying to move forward with your finances and your emotional well-being, and having yourself in a position where you minimize burnout or the likes of it. The goal is to do better, not just for your finances, but for you emotionally. I want you to be able to rest better at night, right? And be able to feel confident about the choices you make, even when it comes to maybe setting boundaries with money in terms of who's asking or who has access to your funds. Okay? In closing, I want you to also know what it is required to know to address financial struggles that contribute to burnout. There must be accountability to self, personally and professionally, right? The work that we do is connected to our own personal values, right? And our personal goals and our mores. There are things that we align with daily. And when it comes to what is in your own personal lives, it's important that you always give attention to them. Do not put them on the side. You need to look at them first so you can show up and be your true, authentic self, but your true, authentic, and whole self. Establishing SMART goals is important. It holds you accountable. Acknowledging pitfalls and challenges that can lead to self-sabotaging behaviors. If you need to put yourself in a corner, please do it. Okay? But if you need to also celebrate because you have really done extremely well, it's okay to do that too. But hold yourself accountable even for the celebration moment. All right? If you feel like you need to have a task or a guideline for every moment until you feel more confident, do that. This is your thing. You get to drive this train. All right? Ethical obligations to the clients, profession, and organization is awesome because we love what we do, but it also needs to be to you. You're written there. You're written in those code of ethics. You are written. We are looking to reduce any or remove any risk of you having some level of impairment where it keeps you from showing up as a whole person. Constantly move towards change. Celebrate small and big goal successes, right? No matter how small, celebrate. Extend grace when goals are not fully met, meaning be kind to yourself, as it says here, but be vulnerable. And find people you can trust that will hold you accountable, won't make you feel bad, but will ask the right questions, will listen when you need them to. And understand that not all people in your life can do the same thing. So you may have one friend that, challenges you with certain types of questions, another friend who's really good at listening, another person who has all the resources in the world, right? Just like we ask questions of our clients, make sure that you are moving from the place of scholar to practitioner for yourself. You have all the information. Knowledge is wealth. Utilize it. Thank you so much, everyone, for your time. Rita, I'm going to pass it over to you. Here's my information, everyone. If you want to reach out to me or find me on social media, I would love to connect with you. Thank you again. I hope this was helpful.
I, for one, found it fabulous. Thank you so much, Sharon.
Thank
So,
you.
Can you see my screen now?
Not yet. Maybe it's me. Let me stop sharing.
Okay,
Try now.
let me see if I can take, because now we're going to show you a few of the
There
many
we go.
different ways. Can you see it now?
Yeah.
I can.
Great. Now we're going to show you all the ways that financial social work can help you achieve the goal that Sharon has set for you of minimizing burnout. So we'll start with my final thoughts that through all of these 20 some years that I've been doing this, I particularly love sharing with our audiences. And that's the fact that no one chooses to have money problems, but most people do. And when they do, they don't know what to do about it. But something that I think it's important to understand is that no one can or needs to know everything about money, but everyone needs to know certain things about money. And what those things are is based on who you are and what your goals are. And it's so important if we want to change the world, if we want to change the fact that in this country we continue to raise generation after generation of financially illiterate men and women, then we've got to prepare our children for the real world by teaching them about money. And finally, the relationship between finances and suicide is far too prevalent. Remember that debt doesn't have to be a death sentence. Always choose life. So some of our resources, next month, our free webinar is Why Financial Behavioral Health Matters, no matter your profession. And the month after that is the intersection of race-based trauma and financial literacy. Part one was amazing, and we invited Dr. Hardy back to do a part two. Part one is on our website, that recording. So these, you can register for these on our website currently. And I wanted to tell everyone about the Financial Health and Wellness Professional Community. It is a membership organization where we meet and have the opportunity to interact with each other, learn, network, connect, expand client resources, and support each other around financial health and wellness across diverse client populations. We also have our partner program. If you click on our website at that $sign next to the cart, you get a partner link and you earn 10% commission on sales from your partner link, and your friend or colleague gets a 10% discount also. We have essays from financial social work graduates. We're going towards almost 100 of them on the financial social work website. And if you're not receiving our curated financial health and wellness professional community newsletter published and delivered every Tuesday and Friday, you are missing, because we have articles focused very specifically on the types of client needs and work that we're all doing. And also, this will help you tremendously personally with your own financial health and wellness. We are currently promoting a pay what you can method. The certification has been $695 for the past few years, but because of the financial circumstances in our country and obviously around the world. We are currently offering a pay what you can at beginning at $3.95 and going up to the full price, which also includes membership in our financial health and wellness professional community. The certification, our students have 6 months to complete it. It's self-study and self-paced. It includes all materials plus the final exam and a beautiful certificate. There is a 3-year renewal. That concludes our presentation. We may have, I know it's a little after 3. Linda, are there a few questions?
We do have a couple of questions. First, I'd like to thank you, Sharon. I know I learned a lot from this presentation and have many takeaways. One of the questions submitted is, how should financial emergencies be handled?
Wow. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. So I think that's why I really honed in on at the end of the presentation. I think that's a good question, is that you always create some type of wiggle room with the budget that you create, because putting money aside is going to be important. However, when stuff comes up emergently, keep in mind, I need you to assess whose emergency is it. Okay, that's important, because someone else's emergency may not be able to be yours. There are certain situations that will come up. I've seen individuals where they'll say, well, I got a call and this person, needs help, and I'm the only person. And I'll tell them, I guarantee you're not the only person that can help them. And so those are those situations where I say you may need to have some boundaries in place to say, I'm not able to assist. But if it's an emergency that comes up, if your car needs to be repaired, I would say look at what your savings looks like. Find out if they have some type of payment plan. Because there are some businesses that will say, hey, if you pay now, we can hold the car till then, or we can do this, depending on your situation. But you should always try to plan to put a certain amount aside just for emergencies. Okay, don't be so stringent that you're trying to knock out debt all at one time or within a short period of time, because that is going to impact your budget. There should always be at least 10 to 20% that you should be able to set aside for rainy days, for emergencies. Okay,
Awesome.
and if not, I was going to say, if not, just go ahead and see if you can call credit card companies to see if you can also ask for another due date for an extension. Some credit card companies do have that in place. Also, some allow, if you pay an extra, I think it's like $5 a month on your bill, they allow you to skip a month if you need to, because you've kind of created a reserve.
Great answers. Great answers. You have another one, Linda?
One is, are there specific tools one could use to manage their finances?
Yes, so the Center for Financial Social Work has some great tools if you sign up and become certified, so you have your budget there. But yeah, there are so many online free things that you can also use. You can order a lot of budget plans from Amazon. You can Google and print out something. You can actually use something as simple when you're starting out, something as simple as a composition notebook. You don't have to be very fancy. So when you're talking about your budget, you should be able to write down simply a list of everything that you are responsible for, even if it's a $10 payment for an insurance policy. Write it down, everything that you know that you are responsible for. Start there. Having those things out, knowing the dates that they're due, and then now breaking that down into when they need to be paid. What I do recommend is don't try to have everything come out on that due date that's with the closest pay date. I will recommend try to get it on a schedule where it's associated with the 2 paydays before. So you're always a little bit ahead in case there's a delay in the payment schedule with the job or anything like that. It doesn't impact your payment schedule, if that makes sense.
Great, really great. Okay, we still have a lot of people with us. Is there anything
I
else,
know.
Linda?
I know.
They're holding on to every word, Sharon.
Well, and then I'm just going to say, in a shameless plug, Rita has the slide up. If anyone feels stressed or burned out, we took you in. We looked at this burnout, and I want you to know that 395 is a really good number for the certification, because we know that you social workers are stressed out. So our next question is, what is the best way to determine how one is spending their money?
The only way to do that is look at your bank statements. I'm going to encourage you to do that. Look at your bank statements. My daughter is in the process, her and her husband are looking for a house. And I had to have a tough talk with her about her smoothies and her Starbucks. And I told her, if you really feel like you need that fix, I need you to go get a Cash App card or get some type of over-the-counter gift card that you can have set aside just for those items. Because when you look at your bank statements, if you see that you are eating out, ordering Uber Eats, on Amazon constantly, that's going to tell you where most of your money goes. All right, so pay attention to your bank statement. If you know that you are spending a lot of money and you actually take the time to calculate it, I'm sure it's hundreds, possibly thousands of dollars that you have spent.
I
So
would
start
add,
there.
Sharon, I would add, write it down, write it down, write it down. And if you don't want to track your spending, the easiest way to limit having to do that is by not spending, right?
Yeah,
Simple,
absolutely.
simple, right? But
Very
write
simple.
write it down.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
final
And that is very
question.
true.
Oh, I'm sorry, Sharon. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was gonna say just kind of pace yourself. If you realize, ask yourself, do I really need to buy this? If you don't do it.
Is it a want or a need? Spend your money on needs, not wants. One last question, if we have it, Linda.
I think that's it.
No, there's
Okay.
one more in the chat.
Take it,
There's one
Sharon.
more. When should a person or family transition to or from financial therapy or financial social work, advising, planning services? I think based on all of those questions that we got thus far, when you're trying to determine, that there's an issue with finances and how money is spent, any time is good. You don't have to wait until your hair is on fire. Let me say it that way. There are situations that sometimes people will wait until it has hit the fan and they're like, help, how do I get out of this situation? If you already know that an individual or a family is not managing their money, or they don't know how to do it effectively to meet their financial goals, that is a good time. There's always a good time. Just like we say with therapy, you can go to therapy whenever you're ready. It's the same thing with financial support. Take the time. So, and family is good if you can help them learn about behaviors. So the earlier, the better.
Well, lots of people are thanking you so much, Sharon. It really was just a wonderful presentation. I think we all learned so much, and I hope we can have you back again in the future.
Absolutely. Whenever you need me, Rita, I'll be here. Thank you so much again, everyone, and to you, Rita, for just this opportunity. It was awesome.
Okay, well, have a beautiful day, everybody, and hope to see you back here next month. Bye now.